Welcome, dear friend. As you settle into this peaceful moment, allow your breath to deepen, your shoulders to relax, and your mind to gently quiet. We are about to embark on a journey through the sacred stories of the book of Joshua, where we will discover how God lovingly reminds his people that he will never leave them, and that every promise he has spoken will gently unfold. In these pages, we find a comforting assurance of divine presence and faithfulness. As you prepare to immerse yourself in these ancient, comforting words, consider subscribing to our channel. It helps us share these tranquil reflections with more hearts seeking solace. And if there is someone in your heart, someone you know or feel is in need of prayer, please feel free to share their name in the comments below, and we will hold them in our collective prayers. Let us begin this quiet time together. Joshua, chapter 1. After the passing of Moses, the Lord's faithful servant, a gentle voice spoke to Joshua, son of Nun, Moses' helper. Moses, my servant, has now rested. It is time for you and all these people to prepare. You shall cross the Jordan River into the land I am lovingly preparing for them, for the children of Israel. Every place your foot touches, I will give to you. Just as I promised Moses, your lands will stretch from the quiet desert to the majestic Lebanon, and from the great Euphrates River, through all the Hittite lands, to the peaceful Mediterranean Sea in the west. No one will be able to stand against you. For all the days of your life, I will be with you, just as I was with Moses. I will never leave you, nor will I ever forsake you. Be strong, my dear one, and be courageous, for you will guide these people to receive the land I swore to their ancestors, a precious inheritance. Be strong, and let your courage be deep within you. Be mindful to follow all the gentle teachings my servant Moses shared with you. Do not stray from them, neither to the right nor to the left, so that peace and success may accompany you wherever you go. Let this book of the law always be a whisper on your lips. Meditate upon its wisdom day and night, so that you may carefully live by all that is written within it. Then your path will be filled with blessings and tranquility. Have I not softly commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not let fear touch your heart. Do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you, a comforting presence wherever you may wander. So Joshua, with a calm heart, instructed the officers of the people. Go through the camp and gently tell everyone to prepare their provisions. In 3 days you will cross the Jordan, entering to take possession of the land the Lord your God is tenderly giving you as your own. To the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, Joshua spoke, remember the gentle command that Moses, the Lord's servant, gave you, when he said, the Lord your God will grant you rest by giving you this land. Your wives, your children, and your livestock may remain in the land Moses gave you east of the Jordan, but all your men, ready for battle, must cross over ahead of your fellow Israelites. You are to support them until the Lord gives them rest, just as he has done for you, and until they too have received the land that the Lord your God is giving them. After that, you may return to your own land, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, lovingly gave you east of the Jordan, towards the gentle sunrise. Then, with one voice, they answered Joshua, whatever you have commanded us, we will do, and wherever you send us, we will go. Just as we faithfully obeyed Moses, so we will obey you. May the Lord your God only be with you, as he was with Moses. Whoever rebels against your word and does not obey it whatever you may command them will be put to death. Only be strong and courageous. Joshua chapter 2. Then, from the quiet settlement of Shittim, Joshua, son of Nun, discreetly sent 2 men to observe the land, especially the city of Jericho. So they journeyed and found shelter in the home of a woman named Rahab, where they rested. Word soon reached the king of Jericho. Look, some men from Israel have come tonight to quietly explore our land. The king of Jericho then sent a message to Rahab. Bring out the men who came to you and entered your house, for they have come to survey our entire land. But the woman, with a protective heart, had already taken the 2 men and hidden them. She replied, Yes, the men did come to me, but I did not know from where they had come. At dusk, as the city gate was closing, they departed. I do not know which path they took. Pursue them quickly. You may yet overtake them. Yet, she had led them to the rooftop and concealed them beneath bundles of flax stalks she had laid out there. So, the king's men set out in pursuit of the spies, taking the road that leads to the Jordan's crossing points, and as soon as the pursuers had left, the city gate was securely shut. Before the spies settled down for the night, Rahab ascended to the roof and spoke to them, her voice soft yet earnest. I know, deep in my heart, that the Lord has given this land to you, and that a great awe of you has settled upon us, so that all who dwell in this country are filled with apprehension because of your presence. We have heard how the Lord gently parted the waters of the Red Sea for you when you emerged from Egypt, and what you accomplished against Sihon and Og, the 2 kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, whom you completely overcame. When we heard these accounts, our spirits faltered, and everyone's courage melted away because of you. For the Lord, your God, is indeed God in the heavens above and on the earth below. Now, I humbly ask you, please swear to me by the Lord that you will show kindness to my family, just as I have shown kindness to you. Grant me a clear sign that you will spare the lives of my father and mother, my brothers and sisters, and all who belong to them, and that you will deliver us from the shadow of death. Our lives for your lives. The men assured her, if you keep our mission a secret, we will treat you with kindness and faithfulness when the Lord grants us this land. So she gently lowered them by a rope through her window, for her dwelling was built into the city wall. She advised them, Go to the hills, so that your pursuers will not find you. Conceal yourselves there for 3 days until they have returned, and then you may continue on your way. Now, the men had said to her, This oath you have asked us to swear will not bind us unless, when we enter the land, you have tied this scarlet cord in the window through which you let us down. And unless you have gathered your father and mother, your brothers, and all your family into your house, if any of them venture outside your house into the street, their fate will be upon their own heads. We will not be responsible. As for those who remain within your house, their safety will be our responsibility if any harm befalls them. But if you reveal our mission, then we will be released from the oath you made us swear. Agreed, she replied, her voice calm. Let it be as you say. So she sent them on their way, and they departed, and she carefully tied the scarlet cord in her window. When they had left, they ascended into the hills and remained there for 3 days, until their pursuers had searched every path and returned without finding them. Then the 2 men began their journey back. They descended from the hills, crossed the river, and came to Joshua, son of Nun, sharing with him all that had transpired. They said to Joshua, The Lord has surely placed the entire land into our hands. All the people are filled with apprehension because of us. Joshua chapter 3. Early in the morning, Joshua and all the Israelites arose from Shittim and journeyed to the Jordan, where they made camp before preparing to cross over. After 3 days, the officers moved throughout the camp, giving gentle instructions to the people. When you see the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord your God, carried by the Levitical priests, you are to move from your places and follow it. This will show you the path to take, for you have never traveled this way before. However, maintain a respectful distance of about 2,000 cubits between yourselves and the ark. Do not approach it too closely. Joshua then spoke to the people. Consecrate yourselves, for tomorrow the Lord will perform wondrous and amazing things among you. Joshua then instructed the priests, take up the Ark of the Covenant and go ahead of the people. So they reverently took it up and moved forward. And the Lord spoke to Joshua. Today, I will begin to elevate you in the eyes of all Israel, so that they may know with certainty that I am with you, just as I was with Moses. Speak to the priests who carry the Ark of the Covenant. When you reach the very edge of the Jordan's waters, step into the river and stand there. Joshua then addressed the Israelites. Come closer and listen to the words of the Lord your God. This is how you will know that the living God is truly among you, and that he will surely drive out before you the Canaanites, Hittites, Hivites, Perizzites, Girgashites, Amorites, and Jebusites. Behold, the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord of all the earth will go into the Jordan ahead of you. Now then, choose 12 men from the tribes of Israel, 1 from each tribe, and as soon as the feet of the priests who carry the Ark of the Lord of all the earth, touch the waters of the Jordan, its waters flowing downstream will be cut off and will stand up in a single heap. So, when the people broke camp to cross the Jordan, the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant went ahead of them. Now, the Jordan is typically in flood during the entire harvest season. Yet, as soon as the priests who carried the ark reached the Jordan and their feet touched the water's edge, the water flowing from upstream ceased. It piled up in a great heap a considerable distance away, at a town called Adam near Zarethan. Meanwhile, the water flowing down towards the Sea of the Arabah, which is the Dead Sea, was completely cut off, so the people crossed over opposite Jericho. The priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord stood firmly in the middle of the Jordan on dry ground, while all Israel passed by until the entire nation had completed their crossing on dry ground. Joshua chapter 4. When the entire nation had peacefully completed their crossing of the Jordan, the Lord spoke to Joshua. Choose 12 men from among the people, 1 from each tribe, and instruct them to take up 12 stones from the very middle of the Jordan, from the exact spot where the priests are standing. They are to carry these stones with them and place them down at the place where you will rest tonight. So Joshua gathered the 12 men he had appointed from the Israelites, 1 from each tribe, and said to them, Go before the ark of the Lord your God into the middle of the Jordan. Each of you is to take up a stone upon his shoulder, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, to serve as a lasting sign among you. In the future, when your children gently ask you, What do these stones mean? Tell them that the flow of the Jordan was miraculously cut off before the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. When it crossed the Jordan, the waters of the Jordan were held back. These stones are to be a memorial to the people of Israel forever. So the Israelites did as Joshua commanded them. They took 12 stones from the middle of the Jordan, according to the number of the tribes of the Israelites, just as the Lord had instructed Joshua, and they carried them over with them to their camp where they reverently placed them down. Joshua also set up 12 stones in the middle of the Jordan, at the very spot where the priests who carried the Ark of the Covenant had stood, and they remain there to this day. Now, the priests who carried the Ark remained standing in the middle of the Jordan until everything the Lord had commanded Joshua was accomplished by the people. Just as Moses had directed Joshua, the people hurried over, and as soon as all of them had crossed, the Ark of the Lord and the priests came to the other side, while the people watched with awe. The men of Reuben, Gad, and the half-tribe of Manasseh crossed over, ready for battle, in front of the Israelites, as Moses had directed them. About 40,000 armed for battle crossed over before the Lord to the plains of Jericho, prepared for what lay ahead. That day, the Lord exalted Joshua in the sight of all Israel, and they held him in deep reverence all the days of his life, just as they had held Moses in reverence. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Command the priests carrying the Ark of the Covenant law to come up out of the Jordan." So Joshua commanded the priests, "Come up out of the Jordan." And the priests came up out of the river, carrying the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord. No sooner had they set their feet on the dry ground than the waters of the Jordan returned to their place and ran in flood as before. On the 10th day of the first month, the people journeyed from the Jordan and came to Gilgal, on the eastern border of Jericho. And Joshua set up at Gilgal the 12 stones they had taken out of the Jordan. He said to the Israelites, "In the future, when your descendants ask their parents, 'What do these stones mean?' tell them, 'Israel crossed the Jordan on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the Jordan before you until you had crossed over. The Lord your God did to the Jordan what he had done to the Red Sea when he dried it up before us until we had crossed over. He did this so that all the peoples of the earth might know that the hand of the Lord is powerful, and so that you might always hold the Lord your God in reverent awe." Joshua chapter 5. Now, when all the Amorite kings dwelling west of the Jordan and all the Canaanite kings along the coast heard how the Lord had gently dried up the Jordan before the Israelites until they had crossed over, their hearts softened with a quiet apprehension, and they no longer possessed the courage to confront the Israelites. At that time, the Lord spoke to Joshua, "Fashion flint knives and perform the circumcision of the Israelites once more." So Joshua crafted flint knives and circumcised the Israelites at Gibeath Haraloth. This is why he did so. All those who had departed from Egypt, all the men of military age, had passed away in the wilderness during their journey after leaving Egypt. All the people who had come out of Egypt had been circumcised. But all the people born in the wilderness during the 40-year journey from Egypt had not been circumcised. The Israelites had wandered in the wilderness for 40 years, until all the men who were of military age when they left Egypt had died, for they had not heeded the Lord's voice. For the Lord had sworn to them that they would not behold the land that he had solemnly promised their ancestors to give them, a land flowing with milk and honey. So he raised up their sons in their stead, and these were the ones Joshua circumcised. They remained uncircumcised because they had not been circumcised along the way, and after the entire nation had been circumcised, they remained in their camp until they were healed. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Today I have gently rolled away the reproach of Egypt from you." So that place has been known as Gilgal to this very day. On the evening of the 14th day of the month, while encamped at Gilgal on the plains of Jericho, the Israelites observed the Passover. The day after the Passover, on that very day, they partook of the produce of the land, unleavened bread and roasted grain. The manna, their miraculous provision, ceased the day after they ate this food from the land, There was no longer any manna for the Israelites. Instead, that year, they enjoyed the abundance of Canaan. Now, as Joshua drew near Jericho, he looked up and beheld a man standing before him, a drawn sword in his hand. Joshua approached him and gently inquired, "Are you for us or for our adversaries?" "Neither," he replied, "but as commander of the army of the Lord, I have now come." Then Joshua humbly fell face down to the ground in reverence and asked him, "What message does my Lord have for his servant?" The commander of the Lord's army responded, "Remove your sandals from your feet, for the place where you are standing is holy ground." And Joshua, with a reverent heart, did so. Joshua, chapter 6. Now, the gates of Jericho were securely closed and barred because of the Israelites. No one ventured out, and no one entered in. Then the Lord spoke to Joshua, "See, I have gently delivered Jericho into your hands, along with its king and its valiant men. You are to march around the city once with all your armed men. Do this for 6 days. Have 7 priests carry trumpets made of ram's horns in front of the ark. On the 7th day, you shall march around the city 7 times, with the priests continuously blowing the trumpets. When you hear the long, sustained blast of the trumpets, let the entire army give a loud, unified shout. Then, the wall of the city will collapse, and the army will advance, each man straight ahead." So Joshua, son of Nun, called the priests and instructed them, "Take up the ark of the covenant of the Lord, and let 7 priests carry trumpets before it." And he commanded the army, "Advance, march around the city with an armed guard leading the way before the ark of the Lord." When Joshua had spoken to the people, the 7 priests, carrying the 7 trumpets before the Lord, moved forward, blowing their trumpets, and the ark of the Lord's covenant followed them. The armed guard marched ahead of the priests who blew the trumpets, and the rear guard followed the ark. All this time, the trumpets continued their steady sound. But Joshua had given a specific command to the army. "Do not give a war cry. Do not raise your voices. Do not utter a single word until the day I tell you to shout. Then, and only then, shout." So, he had the ark of the Lord carried around the city, circling it once. Then the army returned to camp and spent the night there. Joshua rose early the next morning, and the priests took up the ark of the Lord. The 7 priests, carrying the 7 trumpets, moved forward, marching before the ark of the Lord and blowing the trumpets. The armed men went ahead of them, and the rear guard followed the ark of the Lord, while the trumpets kept sounding. So, on the 2nd day, they marched around the city once and returned to the camp. They continued this peaceful, rhythmic march for 6 days. On the 7th day, they rose at daybreak and marched around the city 7 times in the same manner, except that on this day, they circled the city 7 times. The 7th time around, when the priests sounded the trumpet blast, Joshua commanded the army, "Shout, for the Lord has given you the city. The city and all that is within it are to be devoted to the Lord. Only Rahab the prostitute and all who are with her in her house shall be spared, because she hid the spies we sent. But keep yourselves away from the devoted things, so that you will not bring about your own destruction by taking any of them. Otherwise, you will make the camp of Israel liable to destruction and bring trouble upon it. All the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron are sacred to the Lord and must go into his treasury." When the trumpet sounded, the army shouted. And at the sound of the trumpet, when the men gave a loud shout, the wall collapsed. So everyone charged straight in, and they took the city. They devoted the city to the Lord and destroyed with the sword every living thing in it, men and women, young and old, cattle, sheep, and donkeys. Joshua then spoke to the 2 men who had spied out the land. "Go into the prostitute's house and bring her out, and all who belong to her, in accordance with your oath to her." So the young men who had done the spying went in and brought out Rahab, her father and mother, her brothers and sisters, and all who belonged to her. They brought out her entire family and placed them in a safe place outside the camp of Israel. Then they burned the whole city and everything in it. But they placed the silver and gold and the articles of bronze and iron into the treasury of the Lord's house. But Joshua spared Rahab the prostitute, with her family and all who belonged to her, because she had hidden the men Joshua had sent as spies to Jericho, and she lives among the Israelites to this day. At that time, Joshua pronounced this solemn oath: "Cursed before the Lord is the one who undertakes to rebuild this city, Jericho. At the cost of his firstborn son, he will lay its foundations. At the cost of his youngest, he will set up its gates." So the Lord was with Joshua, and his fame spread throughout the land. Joshua chapter 7. Yet the Israelites were unfaithful in regard to the devoted things. Ashan, son of Carmi, son of Zimri, son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah, took some of these forbidden items. And so the Lord's gentle anger burned against Israel. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which lies near Beth-aven, to the east of Bethel, and instructed them, "Go up and quietly survey the region." So the men went up and observed Ai. When they returned to Joshua, they reported, "Not all the army will need to go up against Ai. Send perhaps 2,000 or 3,000 men to take it, and do not weary the entire army, for only a few people reside there." So about 3,000 men ascended, but they were routed by the men of Ai, who struck down about 36 of them. They pursued the Israelites from the city gate as far as the stone quarries, and struck them down on the slopes. At this, the hearts of the people softened with fear and became like water. Then Joshua, in his distress, tore his clothes and fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there until evening. The elders of Israel did the same, sprinkling dust upon their heads. And Joshua cried out, "Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan, only to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to remain on the other side of the Jordan. Pardon your servant, Lord. What can I say now that Israel has been routed by its enemies? The Canaanites and the other peoples of the country will hear of this, and they will surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name?" The Lord then spoke to Joshua, "Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Israel has sinned. They have violated my covenant which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have placed these forbidden items among their own possessions. That is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs and flee because they have made themselves liable to destruction. I will not be with you anymore unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted to destruction. Go, consecrate the people. Tell them, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There are devoted things among you, Israel. You cannot stand against your enemies until you remove them. In the morning, present yourselves tribe by tribe. The tribe that the Lord chooses shall come forward clan by clan. The clan that the Lord chooses shall come forward family by family. And the family that the Lord chooses shall come forward man by man. Whoever is found with the devoted things shall be destroyed by fire, along with all that belongs to him. For he has violated the covenant of the Lord and has committed an outrageous act in Israel. Early the next morning, Joshua brought Israel forward by tribes, and the tribe of Judah was chosen. The clans of Judah came forward, and the Zerahites were chosen. He then brought the clan of the Zerahites forward by families, and Zimri was chosen. Joshua then brought his family forward, man by man, and Ashan, son of Carmi, son of Zimri, son of Zerah, from the tribe of Judah, was chosen. Then Joshua said to Ashan, "My son, give glory to the Lord, the God of Israel, and honor him. Tell me what you have done. Do not hide it from me." Ashan replied, "It is true. I have sinned against the Lord, the God of Israel. This is what I have done. When I saw among the plunder a beautiful robe from Babylonia, 200 shekels of silver, and a bar of gold weighing 50 shekels, I coveted them and took them. They are hidden in the ground inside my tent, with the silver underneath." So Joshua sent messengers, and they ran to the tent, and there it was, hidden in his tent, with the silver underneath. They took the items from the tent, brought them to Joshua and all the Israelites, and spread them out before the Lord. Then Joshua, together with all Israel, took Achan, son of Zerah, the silver, the robe, the gold bar, his sons and daughters, his cattle, donkeys, and sheep, his tent, and all that he had, to the valley of Achor. Joshua said, "Why have you brought this trouble upon us? The Lord will bring trouble upon you today." Then all Israel stoned him, and after they had stoned the rest, they burned them. Over Achan, they heaped up a large pile of rocks, which remains to this day. Then the Lord turned from his fierce anger. Therefore, that place has been called the Valley of Achor ever since. Joshua chapter 8. Then the Lord spoke to Joshua, "Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged. Take the entire army with you and go up to attack Ai, for I have delivered into your hands the king of Ai, his people, his city, and his land. You shall do to Ai and its king as you did to Jericho and its king, except that you may carry off their plunder and livestock for yourselves. Set an ambush behind the city." So Joshua and the whole army moved out to attack Ai. He chose 30,000 of his best fighting men and sent them out at night with these instructions. "Listen carefully. You are to set an ambush behind the city. Do not go very far from it. All of you be on the alert. I and all those with me will advance on the city, and when the men come out against us, as they did before, we will flee from them. They will pursue us until we have lured them away from the city. For they will say, 'They are running away from us as they did before.' So when we flee from them, you are to rise up from ambush and take the city. The Lord your God will give it into your hand. When you have taken the city, set it on fire. Do what the Lord has commanded. See to it. You have my orders." Then Joshua sent them off, and they went to the place of ambush and lay in wait between Bethel and Ai, to the west of Ai. But Joshua spent that night with the people. Early the next morning, Joshua mustered his army, and he and the leaders of Israel marched before them to Ai. The entire force that was with him marched up and approached the city and arrived in front of it. They set up camp north of Ai, with the valley between them and the city. Joshua had taken about 5,000 men and set them in ambush between Bethel and Ai, to the west of the city. So the soldiers took up their positions, with the main camp to the north of the city and the ambush to the west of it. That night, Joshua went into the valley. When the king of Ai saw this, He and all the men of the city hurried out early in the morning to meet Israel in battle at a certain place overlooking the Arabah, but he did not know that an ambush had been set against him behind the city. Joshua and all Israel let themselves be driven back before them, and they fled towards the wilderness. All the men of Ai were called to pursue them, and they pursued Joshua and were lured away from the city. Not a man remained in Ai or Bethel who did not go after Israel. They left the city open and went in pursuit of Israel. Then the Lord said to Joshua, "Hold out towards Ai the javelin that is in your hand, for into your hand I will deliver the city." So Joshua held out towards the city the javelin that was in his hand. As soon as he did this, the men in the ambush rose quickly from their position and rushed forward. They entered the city and captured it, and quickly set it on fire. The men of Ai looked back and saw the smoke of the city rising up into the sky, but they had no chance to escape in any direction. The Israelites who had been fleeing towards the wilderness had turned back against their pursuers. For when Joshua and all Israel saw that the ambush had taken the city and that smoke was going up from the city, they turned round and attacked the men of Ai. Those in the ambush also came out of the city against them, so that they were caught in the middle with Israelites on both sides. Israel cut them down, leaving them neither survivors nor fugitives. But they took the king of Ai alive and brought him to Joshua. When Israel had finished killing all the men of Ai in the fields and in the wilderness where they had chased them, and when every one of them had been put to the sword, all the Israelites returned to Ai and killed those who were in it. 12,000 men and women fell that day, all the people of Ai. For Joshua did not draw back the hand that held out his javelin until he had destroyed all who lived in Ai. But Israel did carry off for themselves the livestock and plunder of this city, as the Lord had instructed Joshua. So Joshua burned Ai and made it a permanent heap of ruins, a desolate place to this day. He impaled the body of the king of Ai on a pole and left it there until evening. At sunset, Joshua ordered them to take the body from the pole and throw it down at the entrance of the city gate, and they raised a large pile of rocks over it, which remains to this day. Then Joshua built on Mount Ebal an altar to the Lord, the God of Israel, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded the Israelites. He built it according to what is written in the book of the law of Moses, an altar of uncut stones, on which no iron tool had been used. On it, they offered to the Lord burnt offerings and sacrificed fellowship offerings. There, in the presence of the Israelites, Joshua wrote on stones a copy of the law of Moses. All the Israelites, with their elders, officials, and judges, were standing on both sides of the Ark of the Covenant of the Lord, facing the Levitical priests who carried it. Both the foreigners living among them and the native-born were there. Half of the people stood in front of Mount Gerizim, and half of them in front of Mount Ebal, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had formerly commanded when he gave instructions to bless the people of Israel. Afterwards, Joshua read all the words of the law, the blessings and the curses, just as it is written in the book of the law. There was not a word of all that Moses had commanded that Joshua did not read to the whole assembly of Israel, including the women and children and the foreigners who lived among them. Joshua chapter 9. Now, when all the kings west of the Jordan heard about these events, the kings in the hill country, in the western foothills, and along the entire coast of the Mediterranean Sea as far as Lebanon, including the kings of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, they gathered together, not in peace, but to wage war against Joshua and Israel. However, when the people of Gibeon heard what Joshua had accomplished at Jericho and Ai, they chose a different path. They resorted to a clever ruse. They formed a delegation whose donkeys were laden with worn-out sacks and old wineskins, cracked and mended. They put on worn and patched sandals and dressed in old clothes. All the bread for their journey was dry and moldy. Then they journeyed to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal and, with a deceptive plea, said to him and the Israelites, "We have come from a very distant country. Please make a treaty of peace with us." The Israelites, sensing something amiss, said to these Hivites, "But perhaps you live near us. How then can we make a treaty with you? We are your humble servants," they insisted to Joshua. But Joshua, with a probing spirit, asked, "Who are you, and from where do you come?" They answered, "Your servants have come from a very distant country because of the widespread fame of the Lord your God. For we have heard reports of his mighty deeds, all that he accomplished in Egypt, and all that he did to the two kings of the Amorites east of the Jordan, Sihon, king of Heshbon, and Og, king of Bashan, who reigned in Ashtaroth. And our elders and all those living in our country instructed us, 'Take provisions for your journey. Go and meet them and say to them, "We are your servants. Make a treaty with us." This bread of ours was warm and fresh when we packed it at home on the day we left to come to you. But now, see how dry and moldy it is. And these wineskins that we filled were new, but see how cracked they are, and our clothes and sandals are worn out from the very long journey." The Israelites, without seeking the Lord's counsel, sampled their provisions. Then Joshua, swayed by their tale, made a treaty of peace with them, promising to let them live. And the leaders of the assembly ratified it with an oath. 3 days after they made the treaty with the Gibeonites, the Israelites discovered that they were, in fact, neighbors living very near them. So the Israelites set out, and on the 3rd day they arrived at their cities, Gibeon, Kephirah, Beeroth, and Kiriath Jearim. But the Israelites did not attack them, because the leaders of the assembly had sworn an oath to them by the Lord, the God of Israel. The whole assembly grumbled against the leaders. But all the leaders answered, "We have given them our oath by the Lord, the God of Israel, and we cannot touch them now. This is what we will do to them. We will let them live so that God's wrath will not fall on us for breaking the oath we swore to them." They continued, "Let them live, but let them be woodcutters and water carriers in the service of the whole assembly." So the leader's promise to them was kept. Then Joshua summoned the Gibeonites and said, "Why did you deceive us by saying, 'We live a long way from you,' while actually you live near us? You are now under a curse. You will never be released from service as woodcutters and water carriers for the house of my God." They answered Joshua, "Your servants were clearly told how the Lord your God had commanded his servant Moses to give you the entire land and to wipe out all its inhabitants from before you. So we feared for our lives because of you, and that is why we did this. We are now in your hands. Do to us whatever seems good and right to you." So Joshua saved them from the Israelites, and they did not kill them. That day he made the Gibeonites woodcutters and water carriers for the assembly, to provide for the needs of the altar of the Lord at the place the Lord would choose, and that is what they are to this day. Joshua chapter 10. Now Adoni-Zedek, the king of Jerusalem, heard that Joshua had taken Ai and utterly destroyed it, doing to Ai and its king as he had done to Jericho and its king. He also learned that the people of Gibeon had made a treaty of peace with Israel and had become their allies. He and his people were greatly alarmed at this, because Gibeon was an important city, much like one of the royal cities. It was larger than Ai, and all its men were skilled fighters. So Adoni-Zedek, king of Jerusalem, appealed to Hoham, king of Hebron, Piram, king of Jarmuth, Japhia, king of Lachish, and Debir, king of Eglon. "Come up and help me attack Gibeon," he urged, "because it has made peace with Joshua and the Israelites." Then the 5 kings of the Amorites, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon, joined forces. They moved up with all their troops and took up positions against Gibeon and attacked it. The Gibeonites then sent word to Joshua in the camp at Gilgal, "Do not abandon your servants. Come up to us quickly and save us. Help us, because all the Amorite kings from the hill country have joined forces against us." So Joshua marched up from Gilgal with his entire army, including all his best fighting men. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them. I have given them into your hand. Not one of them will be able to withstand you." After an all-night march from Gilgal, Joshua took them by surprise. The Lord threw them into confusion before Israel. So Joshua and the Israelites defeated them completely at Gibeon. Israel pursued them all along the road going up to Beth-horon and cut them down all the way to Azekah and Makkedah. As they fled before Israel on the road down from Beth-horon to Azekah, the Lord hurled large hailstones down on them, and more of them died from the hail than were killed by the swords of the Israelites. On the day the Lord gave the Amorites over to Israel, Joshua spoke to the Lord in the presence of Israel. "Sun, stand still over Gibeon, and you, moon, over the valley of Aijalon." So the sun stood still, and the moon stopped, until the nation had avenged itself on its enemies, as it is written in the book of Jashar. The sun stopped in the middle of the sky and delayed going down about a full day. There has never been a day like it before or since, a day when the Lord listened to a human being. Surely the Lord was fighting for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp at Gilgal. Now the 5 kings had fled and hidden in the cave at Makkedah. When Joshua was told that the 5 kings had been found hiding in the cave at Makkedah, he said, "Roll large rocks up to the mouth of the cave and post some men there to guard it. But don't stop. Pursue your enemies. Attack them from the rear and don't let them reach their cities, for the Lord your God has given them into your hand." So Joshua and the Israelites defeated them completely. But a few survivors managed to reach their fortified cities. The whole army then returned safely to Joshua in the camp at Makkedah, and no one uttered a word against the Israelites. Joshua said, "Open the mouth of the cave and bring those 5 kings out to me." So they brought the 5 kings out of the cave, the kings of Jerusalem, Hebron, Jarmuth, Lachish, and Eglon. When they had brought these kings to Joshua, he summoned all the men of Israel and said to the army commanders who had come with him, "Come here and put your feet on the necks of these kings." So they came forward and placed their feet on their necks. Joshua said to them, "Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. Be strong and courageous. This is what the Lord will do to all the enemies you are going to fight." Then Joshua put the kings to death and exposed their bodies on 5 poles, and they were left hanging on the poles until evening. At sunset, Joshua gave the order, and they took them down from the poles and threw them into the cave where they had been hiding. At the mouth of the cave, they placed large rocks, which are there to this day. That day, Joshua took Makkedah. He put the city and its king to the sword, and totally destroyed everyone in it. He left no survivors, and he did to the king of Makkedah as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Makkedah to Libnah and attacked it. The Lord also gave that city and its king into Israel's hand. The city and everyone in it Joshua put to the sword. He left no survivors there, and he did to its king as he had done to the king of Jericho. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Libnah to Lachish. He took up positions against it and attacked it. The Lord gave Lachish into Israel's hands, and Joshua took it on the second day. The city and everyone in it he put to the sword, just as he had done to Libnah. Meanwhile, Horam, king of Gezer, had come up to help Lachish, but Joshua defeated him and his army until no survivors were left. Then Joshua and all Israel with him moved on from Lachish to Eglon. They took up positions against it and attacked it. They captured it that same day and put it to the sword and totally destroyed everyone in it, just as they had done to Lachish. Then Joshua and all Israel with him went up from Eglon to Hebron and attacked it. They took the city and put it to the sword, together with its king, its villages, and everyone in it. They left no survivors. Just as at Eglon, they totally destroyed it and everyone in it. Then Joshua and all Israel with him turned round and attacked Debir. They took the city, its king, and its villages, and put them to the sword. Everyone in it they totally destroyed. They left no survivors. They did to Debir and its king as they had done to Libnah and its king, and to Hebron. So Joshua subdued the whole region, including the hill country, the Negev, the western foothills, and the mountain slopes, together with all their kings. He left no survivors. He totally destroyed all who breathed, just as the Lord, the God of Israel, had commanded. Joshua subdued them from Kadesh Barnea to Gaza, and from the whole region of Goshen to Gibeon. All these kings and their lands Joshua conquered in one campaign, because the Lord, the God of Israel, fought for Israel. Then Joshua returned with all Israel to the camp at Gilgal. Joshua chapter 11. When Jabin, king of Hazor, heard of these events, he sent word to Jobab, king of Madon, to the kings of Shimron and Akshaph, and to the northern kings who were in the mountains, in the Arabah south of Kinnereth, in the western foothills, and in Naphoth Dor on the west. He also sent to the Canaanites in the east and west, to the Amorites, Hittites, Perizzites, and Jebusites in the hill country, and to the Hivites below Hermon in the region of Mizpah. They came out with all their troops and a vast number of horses and chariots, a huge army, as numerous as the sand on the seashore. All these kings joined forces and made camp together at the waters of Merom to fight against Israel. The Lord said to Joshua, "Do not be afraid of them, because by this time tomorrow I will hand all of them, slain, over to Israel. You are to hamstring their horses and burn their chariots." So Joshua and his whole army came against them suddenly at the waters of Merom and attacked them. And the Lord gave them into the hand of Israel. They defeated them and pursued them all the way to Greater Sidon, to Misrephoth-Maim, and to the valley of Mizpah in the east, until no survivors were left. Joshua did to them as the Lord had directed. He hamstrung their horses and burned their chariots. At that time, Joshua turned back and captured Hazor and put its king to the sword. Hazor had been the head of all these kingdoms. Everyone in it they put to the sword. They totally destroyed them, not sparing anyone that breathed, and he burned Hazor itself. Joshua took all these royal cities and their kings and put them to the sword. He totally destroyed them, as Moses, the servant of the Lord, had commanded. Yet Israel did not burn any of the cities built on their mounds, except Hazor, which Joshua burned. The Israelites carried off for themselves all the plunder and livestock of these cities, but all the people they put to the sword until they completely destroyed them, not sparing anyone that breathed. As the Lord commanded his servant Moses, so Moses commanded Joshua, and Joshua did it. He left nothing undone of all that the Lord commanded Moses. So Joshua took this entire land, the hill country, all the Negev, the western foothills, the Arabah, and the mountains of Israel with their foothills, from Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir, to Baal Gad in the valley of Lebanon below Mount Hermon. He captured all their kings and put them to death. Joshua waged war against all these kings for a long time, except for the Hivites living in Gibeon. Not one city made a treaty of peace with the Israelites, who took them all in battle. For it was the Lord himself who hardened their hearts to wage war against Israel, so that he might destroy them totally, exterminating them without mercy, as the Lord had commanded Moses. At that time, Joshua went and destroyed the Anakites from the hill country, from Hebron, Debir, and Anab, from all the hill country of Judah, and from all the hill country of Israel. Joshua totally destroyed them and their towns. No Anakites were left in Israelite territory. Only in Gaza, Gath, and Ashdod did any survive. So Joshua took the entire land, just as the Lord had directed Moses, and he gave it as an inheritance to Israel, according to their tribal divisions. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua chapter 12. These are the kings of the land whom the Israelites defeated, and whose territory they took possession of east of the Jordan, from the Arnon Gorge to Mount Hermon, including all the eastern Arabah, Sihon, king of the Amorites, who reigned in Heshbon. His rule extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the middle of the gorge, and from half of Gilead, as far as the Jabbok River, which is the border of the Ammonites. It also included the eastern Arabah from the Sea of Kinnereth to the Sea of the Arabah, that is, the Dead Sea, and to Beth Jeshemoth, and southward below the slopes of Pisgah. And Og, king of Bashan, one of the last of the Rephates, who reigned in Ashtaroth and Edrei. He ruled over Mount Hermon, Salekah, and all of Bashan, as far as the border of the Geshurites and Maacathites, and over half of Gilead, as far as the border of Sihon, king of Heshbon. Moses, the servant of the Lord, and the Israelites conquered them, and Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave their land as an inheritance to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. These are the kings of the land whom Joshua and the Israelites defeated on the west side of the Jordan, from Baal-Gad in the valley of Lebanon to Mount Halak, which rises towards Seir. Joshua gave their land as an inheritance to the tribes of Israel according to their divisions, in the hill country, in the western foothills, in the Arabah, on the mountain slopes, in the wilderness, and in the Negev, the lands of the Hittites, Amorites, Canaanites, Perizzites, Hivites, and Jebusites, the king of Jericho, the king of Ai near Bethel, the king of Jerusalem, the king of Hebron, the king of Jarmuth, the king of Lachish, the king of Eglon, the king of Gezer, the king of Debir, the king of Geder, the king of Hormah, the king of Arad, the king of Libnah, the king of Adullam, the king of Makkedah, the king of Bethel, the king of Tappuah, the king of Hepher, the king of Aphek, the king of Lasharon, the king of Madon, the king of Hazor, the king of Shimron, Meron, the king of Akshaph, the king of Tanakh, the king of Megiddo, the king of Kadesh, the king of Jokneam in Carmel, the king of Dor in Naphoth, Dor the king of Goyim in Gilgal, the king of Tirzah. In total, 31 kings. Joshua chapter 13. When Joshua had grown old and advanced in years, the Lord spoke to him, "You are now old and advanced in years, and there are still very large areas of land to be taken. This is the land that remains, all the regions of the Philistines, and all the Geshurites, from the Shihor River on the eastern border of Egypt, northward to the territory of Ekron, which is counted as Canaanite land. This includes the 5 Philistine rulers of Gaza, Ashdod, Ashkelon, Gath, and Ekron. Also, the Avites in the south, all the land of the Canaanites, and Mira of the Sidonians, as far as Aphek to the border of the Amorites, the land of the Gebalites, and all of Lebanon to the east, from Baal-Gad below Mount Hermon to Labo-Hamath. All the inhabitants of the hill country, from Lebanon to Misrephoth-Maim, that is, all the Sidonians. I myself will drive them out before the Israelites. Be sure to allocate this land to Israel for an inheritance, as I have commanded you. Now, therefore, divide this land by lot, as an inheritance among the 9 tribes and half of the tribe of Manasseh. The other half of Manasseh and the Reubenites and Gadites had already received their inheritance. Moses had given it to them east of the Jordan. It extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, and all the tableland of Medeba as far as Dibon, and all the towns of Sihon king of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon, out to the border of the Ammonites. It also included the Arabah with the Jordan as its border, from Kinnereth to the sea of the Arabah, that is, the Dead Sea, below the slopes of Pisgah. Also, the kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, who was one of the last of the Rephates, and lived in Ashtaroth and Edrei. Moses had defeated them and driven them out, but the Israelites did not drive out the Geshurites or the Maccathites. To this day, these peoples live among the Israelites. However, to the tribe of Levi, Moses gave no inheritance. Their inheritance is the offerings made by fire to the Lord, the God of Israel, as he promised them. This is what Moses gave to the tribe of Reuben, clan by clan. Their territory extended from Aroer on the rim of the Arnon Gorge, and from the town in the middle of the gorge, and all the tableland by Medeba, Heshbon and all its towns on the tableland, including Dibon, Bamith-Baal, Beth-Baal-Meon, Jahaz, Kedemoth, Mephath, Kiriathaim, Sibmah, Zareth-Shahar on the hill in the valley, Beth-Peor, the slopes of Pisgah, and Beth-Jeshimoth, all the towns of the tableland, and all the kingdom of Sihon king of the Amorites, who ruled in Heshbon. Moses had defeated him and the Midianite chiefs, Evi, Rechem, Zur, Hur, and Reba, princes allied with Sihon, who lived in that country. Balaam son of Beor, the soothsayer, was also killed with the sword by the Israelites. The boundary of the Reubenites was the Jordan. These were the inheritance of the Reubenites, clan by clan, the towns and their villages. This is what Moses gave to the tribe of Gad, clan by clan, the territory of Jazer, all the towns of Gilead, and half the land of the Ammonites up to Aroer near Rabbah, and from Heshbon to Ramath-Mizpah and Betonim, and from Mahanaim to the territory of Debir, in the valley, Beth-Haram, Beth-Nimrah, Succoth, and Zaphon, the remaining part of the kingdom of Sihon king of Heshbon. The Jordan was its border, up to the end of the Sea of Kinnereth on the east side of the Jordan. These were the inheritance of the Gadites, clan by clan, the towns and their villages. This is what Moses gave to the half-tribe of Manasseh, clan by clan, the territory extending from Mahanaim through all of Bashan, the entire kingdom of Og, king of Bashan, all the settlements of Jair in Bashan, 60 towns, half of Gilead, Ashtaroth, and Edrei, the royal cities of Og in Bashan, belonged to the descendants of Machir, son of Manasseh, half of the Machirites, clan by clan. These are the inheritances that Moses distributed in the plains of Moab across the Jordan east of Jericho. But to the tribe of Levi, Moses gave no inheritance. The Lord, the God of Israel, is their inheritance, as he promised them. Joshua chapter 14. These are the lands that the Israelites received as their inheritance in the land of Canaan, which Eleazar the priest, Joshua, son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal families of Israel distributed to them. Their inheritance was decided by lot, as the Lord had commanded through Moses, for the 9.5 tribes. Moses had already given the 2.5 tribes their inheritance east of the Jordan, but to the Levites he had given no inheritance among them. For the descendants of Joseph formed 2 tribes, Manasseh and Ephraim. The Levites received no share of the land except towns to live in with pasture lands for their livestock and possessions. The Israelites divided the land as the Lord had commanded Moses. Now the people of Judah approached Joshua at Gilgal, and Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite said to him, "You know what the Lord said to Moses the man of God at Kadesh Barnea concerning you and me. I was 40 years old when Moses, the servant of the Lord, sent me from Kadesh Barnea to explore this land. And I brought him back an honest report. My fellow Israelites who went up with me made the hearts of the people melt in fear. But I, for my part, followed the Lord my God wholeheartedly. So on that day, Moses swore to me, 'The land on which your feet have walked will be your inheritance and that of your children forever, because you have followed the Lord, my God, wholeheartedly.' Now then, just as the Lord promised, he has kept me alive for 45 years since the time he made this promise to Moses, while Israel moved about in the wilderness. So here I am today, 85 years old. I am still as strong today as I was the day Moses sent me out. I have as much strength now for war as I had then, and for going out and coming in. Now give me this hill country that the Lord promised me that day. You yourself heard then that the Anakites were there, and that their cities were large and fortified. But with the Lord's help, I will drive them out, just as the Lord said." Then Joshua blessed Caleb son of Jephunneh and gave him Hebron as his inheritance. So Hebron has belonged to Caleb son of Jephunneh the Kenizzite ever since, because he followed the Lord, the God of Israel, wholeheartedly. Hebron used to be called Kiriath Arba after Arba, who was the greatest man among the Anakites. Then the land had rest from war. Joshua, chapter 15. The allotment for the tribe of Judah, clan by clan, extended southward to the border of Edom, reaching the desert of Zin at its southernmost point. Their southern boundary began at the bay of the Dead Sea, the one that turns southward. It ran south to the ascent of Akrabim, continued to Zin, and went over to Kadesh Barnea. Then it passed along to Hezron, went up to Adar, and turned to Karka. From there, it passed along to Asmon, went out to the Wadi of Egypt, and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was their southern boundary. The eastern boundary was the Dead Sea, as far as the mouth of the Jordan. The northern boundary began at the bay of the Dead Sea, at the mouth of the Jordan. It went up to Beth Hoglah and continued to the north of Beth Araba and on to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. The boundary then went up to Debir from the valley of Achor and turned north to Gilgal, which faces the ascent of Adumim, south of the gorge. It continued along to the waters of En-Shemesh and came out at En-Rogel. Then it went up the valley of Ben-Hinnom to the southern slope of the Jebusite city, that is, Jerusalem. From there, it went up to the top of the hill that faces the Hinnom Valley on the west, at the northern end of the valley of Rephaim. From the top of the hill, the boundary curved to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah, and went out to the towns of Mount Ephron, and then curved to Bala, that is, Kiriath Jearim. Then it went west from Bala to Mount Seir, passed along to the northern slope of Mount Jearim, that is, Kesalon, went down to Beth Shemesh, and continued to Timnah. Then it went out to the northern slope of Ekron, curved toward Shikharon, passed along to Mount Bala, and reached Jabneel. The boundary ended at the Mediterranean Sea. The western boundary was the Mediterranean Sea. These were the boundaries of the people of Judah, clan by clan. Caleb son of Jephunneh was given a portion among the people of Judah, as the Lord had commanded Joshua. He received Kiriath Arba, that is, Hebron. Arba was the father of Anak. From Hebron, Caleb drove out the 3 Anakites, Sheshai, Ahiman, and Talmai, descendants of Anak. From there, he marched against the people living in Debir. Debir used to be called Kiriath Sepher, and Caleb said, I will give my daughter Aksa in marriage to the man who attacks and captures Kiriath Sepher. Othniel, son of Kenaz, Caleb's brother, captured it. So Caleb gave him his daughter Aksa in marriage. One day, when she came to Othniel, she urged him to ask her father for a field. When she got off her donkey, Caleb asked her, What do you want? She replied, Give me a special blessing. Since you have given me land in the Negev, give me also springs of water. So Caleb gave her both the upper and lower springs. These are the inheritance of the tribe of Judah, clan by clan. The cities of the tribe of Judah in the Negev, toward the border of Edom were Kabzeel, Eder, Jagur, Kena, Dimona, Adada, Kadesh, Hazor, Ithnan, Ziph, Telem, Bealoth, Hazor Hadattah, Kerioth, Hezron, that is Hazor, Amam, Shema, Molada, Hazar Gada, Heshmon, Beth Pelet, Hazar Shual, Beersheba, Biziothia, Bala, Ayim, Ezem, Eltalad, Kesel, Hormah, Ziklag, Madmanah, Sansana, Lebaoth, Shilhim, Ain, and Rimmon, a total of 29 cities with their villages. In the western foothills, Eshtaol, Zorah, Ashna, Zanoah, En-Ganim, Tapua, Enam, Jarmuth, Adullam, Soko, Azekah, Shearaim, Adathaim, Gederah, and Gederothim, 14 cities with their villages. Zenon, Hadasha, Migdal-Gad, Dilion, Mizpah, Joktheel, Lachish, Bozkath, Eglon, Caban, Lahmas, Kitlish, Gederoth, Beth Dagon, Naamah, and Makkedah, 16 cities with their villages. Libnah, Ether, Ashan, Iftah, Ashna, Nezib, Kala, Akzib, and Maresha, 9 cities with their villages. Ekron, with its surrounding settlements and villages. From Ekron westward, all that were on the border of Jabneel and the Mediterranean Sea. In the hill country, Shamir, Jatir, Soko, Dana, Kiriath Sana, that is Debir, Anab, Eshtemo, Anim, Goshen, Holon, and Gilo, 11 cities with their villages. Arab, Duma, Eshan, Janim, Beth Tapua, Afika, Humta, Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, and Zior, 9 cities with their villages. Maon, Carmel, Ziph, Juta, Jezreel, Jokdim, Zanoah, Cain, Gibeah, and Timnah, 10 cities with their villages. Halhul, Beth Zur, Gedor, Maarath, Beth Anath, and Eltekon, 6 cities with their villages. Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, and Rabbah, 2 cities with their villages. In the desert, Beth Araba, Middin, Sekaka, Nibshan, the city of salt, and En-Gedi, 6 cities with their villages. But the people of Judah could not drive out the Jebusites who lived in Jerusalem. So the Jebusites live with the people of Judah in Jerusalem to this day. Joshua chapter 16. The allotment for the descendants of Joseph began at the Jordan near Jericho, east of the Jericho springs. It went up from Jericho to the hill country of Bethel. From Bethel, it went to Luz and continued to the territory of the Archites of Ataroth. Then, it went down westward to the territory of the Japhletites, as far as the region of Lower Beth Horon, and on to Gezer, ending at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the descendants of Joseph, Manasseh, and Ephraim. The territory of the Ephraimites, clan by clan, was as follows. The boundary of their inheritance went from Ataroth Adar in the east to Upper Beth Horon. From there, it extended westward to the Mediterranean Sea, with Mikmethoth on the north. Then it curved eastward to Tanath Shiloh and continued past it to Genoa on the east. From Genoa, it went down to Ataroth and Nara, touched Jericho, and ended at the Jordan. From Tapua, the boundary went westward to the Wadi Kana and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. This was the inheritance of the tribe of the Ephraimites, clan by clan. It included all the towns and their villages within this boundary. They did not dislodge the Canaanites living in Gezer. To this day, the Canaanites live among the Ephraimites, but are required to do forced labor. Joshua, chapter 17. This is the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh, for he was Joseph's firstborn. Machir, Manasseh's firstborn, the father of Gilead, was a man of war, so he was given Gilead and Bashan. So this allotment was for the rest of the descendants of Manasseh, clan by clan: Abiezer, Helek, Asriel, Shechem, Hepher, and Shemida. These were the male descendants of Manasseh, son of Joseph, clan by clan. Now Zelophehad, son of Hepher, the son of Gilead, the son of Machir, the son of Manasseh, had no sons but only daughters. Their names were Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the leaders and said, "The Lord commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our relatives." So Joshua, at the Lord's command, gave them an inheritance along with their father's brothers. Manasseh's portion thus consisted of 10 tracts of land besides Gilead and Bashan across the Jordan, because the daughters of Manasseh received an inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of the descendants of Manasseh. The territory of Manasseh extended from Asher to Mikmethoth, east of Shechem. The boundary then went south to the inhabitants of En-Tappuah. Manasseh had the land of Tappuah, but Tappuah itself, on the border of Manasseh, belonged to the Ephraimites. Then the boundary continued down to the Wadi Kana. The cities there belonged to Ephraim, though they were among Manasseh's cities. The boundary of Manasseh went along the north side of the wadi and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. To the south belonged to Ephraim and to the north to Manasseh. The Mediterranean Sea was its western border. On the north it bordered Asher, and on the east Issachar. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh also had Beth-shan, Ibleam, Dor, Endor, Tanakh, and Megiddo, with their surrounding settlements. But the Manassites were not strong enough to occupy these cities, so the Canaanites continued to live in that land. When the Israelites grew stronger, they subjected the Canaanites to forced labor, but did not drive them out completely. The descendants of Joseph said to Joshua, "Why have you given us only one allotment and one portion for an inheritance? We are a numerous people, and the Lord has blessed us abundantly." "If you are so numerous," Joshua answered, "and if the hill country of Ephraim is too small for you, go up into the forest and clear land for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and Rephaites." The descendants of Joseph replied, "The hill country is not enough for us, and all the Canaanites who live in the valley have iron chariots, both those in Beth-shan and its settlements, and those in the valley of Jezreel." But Joshua told the house of Joseph, Ephraim and Manasseh, "You are numerous and very powerful. You will not have only one allotment. The forested hill country will be yours. Clear it, and its farthest limits will be yours. Though the Canaanites have iron chariots and are strong, you can drive them out." Joshua, chapter 18. the entire assembly of the Israelites gathered at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The land lay subdued before them, but there remained 7 tribes of the Israelites who had not yet received their inheritance. So Joshua spoke to the Israelites, "How long will you wait before you begin to take possession of the land that the Lord, the God of your ancestors, has given you? Appoint 3 men from each tribe. I will send them out to survey the land and make a written description of it, according to their inheritance. Then they will return to me. They are to divide it into 7 parts. Judah will remain in its territory to the south, and the house of Joseph in its territory to the north. After you have written a description of the 7 parts of the land, bring it here to me, and I will cast lots for you in the presence of the Lord our God. The Levites, however, do not get a portion among you, because the priesthood of the Lord is their inheritance, and Gad, Reuben, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have already received their inheritance east of the Jordan, which Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave them." As the men prepared to set out, Joshua instructed them, "Go and walk through the land and write down a description of it, then return to me, and I will cast lots for you here at Shiloh, in the presence of the Lord." So the men left and went through the land. They described it in a scroll, town by town, in 7 parts, and then returned to Joshua in the camp at Shiloh. Joshua then cast lots for them in Shiloh in the presence of the Lord, and there he divided the land among the Israelites according to their tribal divisions. The first lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin. Clan by clan, their allotted territory lay between the tribes of Judah and Joseph. Their northern boundary began at the Jordan, went up to the northern slope of Jericho, and then westward through the hill country to the desert of Beth Aven. From there, it crossed to the south slope of Luz, that is Bethel, and went down to Adaroth Adar on the hill south of lower Beth Horon. From the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the boundary turned south and went around to the west side, ending at Kiriath Baal, that is, Kiriath Jearim, a town of the people of Judah. This was the western boundary. The southern boundary began at the outskirts of Kiriath Jearim on the west and went to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The boundary then went down to the foot of the mountain that faces the valley of Ben Hinnom, north of the valley of Rephaim. It continued down the Hinnom Valley along the southern slope of the Jebusite city and on to En Rogel. From there, it curved north to En Shemesh, continued to Geliloth, which faces the ascent of Adumim, and went down to the stone of Bohan, son of Reuben. It continued to the northern slope of Beth Arabah and on down into the Arabah. It then went along the north slope of Beth Hoglah and came to an end at the northern bay of the Dead Sea at the mouth of the Jordan. This was the southern boundary. The eastern boundary was the Jordan. These were the boundaries that marked out the inheritance of the clans of Benjamin on all sides. The towns of the tribe of Benjamin, clan by clan, were Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zemaraim, Bethel, Avim, Parah, Ophrah, Kephar Ammoni, Ophni, and Geba, 12 towns and their villages. Also Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mizpah, Kephirah, Mozah, Rechem, Irpeel, Tarala, Zelah, Hileph, the Jebusite city, that is Jerusalem, Gibeah, and Kiriath, 14 towns and their villages. This was the inheritance of Benjamin, clan by clan. Joshua, chapter 19. The second lot came out for the tribe of Simeon, clan by clan. Their inheritance was within the territory of Judah. Their inheritance included Beersheba or Sheba, Malada, Hazar Shual, Bala, Ezem, Eltolad, Bethul, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markaboth, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharuhen, 13 towns and their villages. Also Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 towns and their villages, and all the villages around these towns, as far as Baalath Beer, Ramah in the Negev. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Simeon, clan by clan. The inheritance of the Simeonites was taken from the territory of Judah, because Judah's portion was more than they needed. So the Simeonites received their inheritance within the territory of Judah. The third lot came up for the tribe of Zebulun, clan by clan. The boundary of their inheritance went as far as Sarid. From there, it went west to Maralah, touched Dabbesheth, and extended to the wadi near Jokneam. From Sarid, it turned east toward the sunrise to the territory of Kisloth Tabor, went on to Daberath, and up to Japhia. Then it continued east to Gath Hefer and Eth Kazan. It came out at Rimmon and turned toward Neah. There, the boundary went around on the north to Hanathon and ended at the valley of Iftah El. Included were Katath, Nahalal, Shimron, Idalah, and Bethlehem, 12 towns and their villages. These were the inheritance of the Zebulunites, clan by clan, these towns and their villages. The fourth lot came out for the tribe of Issachar, clan by clan. Their territory included Jezreel, Kesuloth, Shunem, Haparam, Shion, Anaharath, Rabbith, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, Enganim, Enhadah, and Beth Pazis. The boundary touched Tabor, Shahazuma, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan, 16 towns and their villages. These were the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar, clan by clan, these towns and their villages. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher, clan by clan. Their territory included Helkath, Hali, Beaton, Akshaph, Alamelech, Amad, and Mishal. On the west, the boundary touched Carmel and Shihor Libnath. It then turned east toward Beth Dagon, touched Zebulun and the valley of Iftah El, and went north to Beth Emek and Nail, passing Kabul on the left. It continued to Ebron, Rehob, Hammon, and Kanah, as far as Greater Sidon. Then the boundary turned toward Ramah and went to the fortified city of Tyre, turned toward Hosa, and came out at the Mediterranean Sea in the region of Achzib, Umah, Aphek, and Rehob, 22 towns and their villages. These were the inheritance of the tribe of Asher, clan by clan, these towns and their villages. The sixth lot came out for the tribe of Naphtali, clan by clan. Their boundary started from Heleph and from the oak of Zananim, Adami Nekeb, and Jabneel, as far as Lachum, and ended at the Jordan. On the west, the boundary went to Aznoth Tabor, and from there to Hukok. It touched Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Ziddim, Zer, Hamath, Rakath, Kinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kadesh, Edrei, and Hazor, Iron, Migdal El, Horem, Bethanath, and Beth Shemesh, 19 towns and their villages. These were the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali, clan by clan, these towns and their villages. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan, clan by clan. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Ir-Shemesh, Shalabin, Aijalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, Eltekeh, Gibbethon, Baalath, Jehud, Bene-Berak, Gath-Rimmon, Me-Jarkon, and Rakon, with the territory over against Joppa. When the territory of the Danites was lost to them, they went up and attacked Leshem, captured it, put it to the sword, and occupied it. They settled there and named Leshem Dan after their ancestor Dan. These were the inheritance of the tribe of Dan, clan by clan, these towns and their villages. When the Israelites had finished dividing the land into its allotted portions, They gave Joshua son of Nun an inheritance among them. In accordance with the Lord's command, they gave him the town he asked for, Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim. He rebuilt the town and settled there. These are the inheritances that Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the tribal families of Israel distributed by lot at Shiloh in the presence of the Lord at the entrance to the tent of meeting. So they finished dividing the land. Joshua chapter 20. Then the Lord spoke to Joshua, saying, "Speak to the Israelites and tell them to designate the cities of refuge, as I instructed you through Moses. These are places where anyone who kills another unintentionally and without malice aforethought may flee. They will serve as a refuge from the avenger of blood. When someone flees to one of these cities, they are to stand at the entrance of the city gate and present their case before the elders of that city. The elders are to receive them into their city and give them a place to live among them. If the avenger of blood pursues them, the elders must not surrender the one who sought refuge, because they killed their neighbor unintentionally and without malice aforethought. They are to stay in that city until they have stood trial before the assembly and until the death of the high priest who is serving at that time. Then they may return to their own home and to the town from which they fled." So they set apart Kadesh in Galilee in the hill country of Naphtali, Shechem in the hill country of Ephraim, and Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah. On the east side of the Jordan, across from Jericho, they designated Bezer in the wilderness on the plateau in the tribe of Reuben, Ramoth in Gilead in the tribe of Gad, and Golan in Bashan in the tribe of Manasseh. These were the cities designated for all the Israelites and for the foreigners residing among them, so that anyone who killed another unintentionally could flee there and not die at the hand of the avenger of blood before standing trial before the assembly. Joshua chapter 21. Then the heads of the Levitical families approached Eleazar the priest, Joshua son of Nun, and the heads of the other tribal families of Israel at Shiloh in Canaan. They said to them, "The Lord commanded through Moses that you give us towns to live in, with pasture lands for our livestock." So, as the Lord had commanded, the Israelites gave the Levites out of their own inheritance these towns and their pasture lands. The first lot came out for the Kohathite clans. The descendants of Aaron the priest, who were Levites, received 13 towns from the tribes of Judah, Simeon, and Benjamin. The other Kohathite clans received 10 towns from the tribes of Ephraim, Dan, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. The Gershonite clans received 13 towns from the tribes of Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in Bashan. The Merarite clans received 12 towns from the tribes of Reuben, Gad, and Zebulun. So the Israelites gave the Levites these towns and their pasture lands by lot, as the Lord had commanded through Moses. From the tribes of Judah and Simeon, they gave the following towns by name to the descendants of Aaron the priest, who were from the Kohathite clans of the Levites, since the first lot fell to them: Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the hill country of Judah, with its surrounding pasture lands. Arba was the father of Anak. But the fields and villages around the city they had given to Caleb son of Jephunneh as his possession. So to the descendants of Aaron, the priest, they gave Hebron, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, Libnah with its pasture lands, Jatir, Eshtemoh, Holon, Debir, Ain, Juttah, and Beth Shemesh, together with their pasture lands, 9 towns from these 2 tribes. From the tribe of Benjamin, they gave Gibeon with its pasture lands, Geba, Anathoth, and Almon. 4 towns. All the towns for the priests, the descendants of Aaron, were 13 towns and their pasture lands. The rest of the Kohathite clans of the Levites received by lot from the tribe of Ephraim, Shechem, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands in the hill country of Ephraim, Gezer, Jokmeam, Beth-horon, Aijalon, and Gath-rimmon, 4 towns. From the half-tribe of Manasseh, Tanach and Ibleam, with their pasture lands, 2 towns. All the towns for the rest of the Kohathite clans were 10, with their pasture lands. The Gershonite clans received from the half-tribe of Manasseh, Golan in Bashan, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, and Beeshtera with its pasture lands, 2 towns. From the tribe of Issachar, Kishion, Daberath, Jarmuth, and En-gannim, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Asher, Mishal, Abdon, Helkath, and Rehob, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Naphtali, Kadesh in Galilee, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Hamath Dor and Kartan with their pasture lands, 3 towns. All the towns for the Gershonite clans were 13 with their pasture lands. The Merarite clans received from the tribe of Zebulun, Jokneam, Karta, Dimnah, and Nahalal with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Reuben, Bezer in the desert, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Jahaz, Kedemoth, and Mephath, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. From the tribe of Gad, Ramoth in Gilead, a city of refuge for one who commits manslaughter, with its pasture lands, Mahanaim, Heshbon, and Jazer, with their pasture lands, 4 towns. All the towns for the Merarite clans were 12, with their pasture lands. The total number of towns and their pasture lands given to the Levites from the inheritance of the Israelites was 48. Each of these towns had pasture lands surrounding it. So the Lord gave Israel all the land he had sworn to give their ancestors, and they took possession of it and settled there. The Lord gave them rest on every side, just as he had sworn to their ancestors. Not one of their enemies stood against them. The Lord gave all their enemies into their hands. Not one of all the Lord's good promises to the house of Israel failed. Everyone was fulfilled. Joshua, chapter 22. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. He said to them, "You have carefully observed all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you, and you have obeyed me in everything I commanded. For a long time now, even to this day, you have not deserted your fellow Israelites, but have carried out the mission the Lord your God gave you. Now that the Lord your God has given your fellow Israelites rest, as he promised them, you may return to your homes in the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you east of the Jordan. But be very careful to keep the commandment and the law that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to obey his commands, to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all your heart and all your soul." Then Joshua blessed them and sent them away, and they went to their homes. To the half-tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given land in Bashan, and to the other half of the tribe, Joshua had given land west of the Jordan, along with their fellow Israelites. When Joshua sent them home, he blessed them and said, "Return to your homes with your great wealth, with many livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, and iron, and with large quantities of clothing. Share the plunder from your enemies with your fellow Israelites." So the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in Canaan and set out for their own land, Gilead, which they had acquired in accordance with the Lord's command through Moses. When they came to Geliloth near the Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built an imposing altar there by the Jordan. The Israelites heard that the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh had built an altar on the border of Canaan at Geliloth near the Jordan on the Israelite side. When the Israelites heard about it, the whole assembly of Israel gathered at Shiloh to go to war against them. Then the Israelites sent Phinehas son of Eleazar the priest to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in Gilead. With him, they sent 10 leaders, one from each of the tribal families of Israel, each of them the head of his family division. When they came to them in Gilead, they said, "This is what the whole assembly of the Lord says. What is this unfaithful act you have committed against the God of Israel? Why have you turned away from the Lord this very day by building yourselves an altar in rebellion against the Lord? Was not the sin of Peor enough for us? We are still suffering for that sin today, even though a plague struck the Lord's community. And now you are turning away from the Lord. If you rebel against the Lord today, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole community of Israel. If the land you possess is defiled, then cross over to the Lord's land, where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and share the inheritance with us. But do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God. Did not Achan son of Zerah act unfaithfully in regard to the devoted things, and didn't wrath come on the whole community of Israel? He was not the only one who died for his sin." Then the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh replied to the heads of the Israelite clans, "The Mighty One, God the Lord, the Mighty One, God the Lord, He knows, and let Israel know. If this has been in rebellion or disobedience to the Lord, do not spare us this day if we built an altar to turn away from the Lord and to offer burnt offerings and grain offerings on it, or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it. May the Lord himself call us to account. No, we did this because we were afraid that in the future your descendants might say to ours, 'What have you to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? The Lord has made the Jordan a boundary between us and you. You Reubenites and Gadites, you have no share in the Lord.' So your descendants might cause ours to stop worshiping the Lord. That is why we said, 'Let us build an altar, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you and the generations after us, that we will worship the Lord before him with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and fellowship offerings. Then in the future, your descendants will not be able to say to ours, 'You have no share in the Lord.'" And we thought that if they ever said this to us, or to our descendants in the future, we could say, "Look at the replica of the Lord's altar, which our ancestors made, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord and turn away from him today by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices, other than the altar of the Lord our God that stands before his tabernacle." When Phinehas the priest and the leaders of the community, the heads of the Israelite clans, heard what the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the Manassites said, they were pleased. And Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the Manassites, "Today we know that the Lord is with us, because you have not committed this unfaithful act against the Lord. Now you have rescued the Israelites from the Lord's hand." Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, and the leaders returned to Canaan from the Reubenites and Gadites in Gilead, and reported to the Israelites. The report pleased the Israelites. They praised God and spoke no more about going to war against them to devastate the land where the Reubenites and the Gadites lived. And the Reubenites and the Gadites named the altar Witness, saying, "It is a witness between us that the Lord is God." Joshua chapter 23. After a long time had passed, and the Lord had given Israel rest from all their enemies around them, Joshua, now old and well advanced in years, summoned all Israel, their elders, leaders, judges, and officials. He said to them, "I am old and well advanced in years. You yourselves have seen all that the Lord your God has done to all these nations for your sake, for it was the Lord your God who fought for you. Remember that I have allotted to you as an inheritance, tribe by tribe, all the nations that remain, as well as all the nations I have already cut off, from the Jordan to the Mediterranean Sea in the west. The Lord your God himself will drive them out before you and dispossess them before you. You will take possession of their land, as the Lord your God promised you. Be very strong. Be careful to obey all that is written in the book of the law of Moses, without turning aside to the right or to the left. Do not associate with these nations that remain among you. Do not invoke the names of their gods or swear by them. Do not serve them or bow down to them, but cling to the Lord your God, as you have done to this day. For the Lord has driven out before you great and powerful nations. To this day no one has been able to stand against you. One of you can put to flight 1,000, for the Lord your God fights for you, just as he promised. So be very careful to love the Lord your God. But if you turn away and ally yourselves with the remnant of these nations that remain among you, and if you intermarry with them and associate with them, then be assured that the Lord your God will no longer drive out these nations before you. Instead, they will become snares and traps for you, whips on your backs and thorns in your eyes, until you perish from this good land which the Lord your God has given you. Now I am about to go the way of all the earth. You know with all your heart and soul that not one of all the good promises the Lord your God made to you has failed. Every promise has been fulfilled. Not one has failed. But just as every good promise of the Lord your God has come true for you, so the Lord will bring on you all the evil he has threatened, until he has destroyed you from this good land he has given you. If you violate the covenant of the Lord your God, which he commanded you to keep, and serve other gods, and bow down to them, his anger will burn against you, and you will quickly perish from the good land he has given you. Joshua chapter 24. Then Joshua gathered all the tribes of Israel at Shechem. He summoned the elders, leaders, judges, and officials of Israel, and they presented themselves before God. Joshua said to all the people, "This is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. Long ago your ancestors, including Terah, the father of Abraham and Nahor, lived beyond the Euphrates River and worshipped other gods. But I took your father Abraham from the land beyond the Euphrates and led him throughout Canaan and gave him many descendants. I gave him Isaac, and to Isaac I gave Jacob and Esau. I gave Esau the hill country of Seir to possess, but Jacob and his children went down to Egypt. Then I sent Moses and Aaron, and I afflicted Egypt by what I did there. And after that, I brought you out. When I brought your ancestors out of Egypt, you came to the Red Sea, and the Egyptians pursued them with chariots and horsemen as far as the Red Sea. But when they cried out to the Lord, he put darkness between you and the Egyptians, and brought the sea over them and covered them. You saw with your own eyes what I did to the Egyptians. Then you lived in the wilderness for a long time. I brought you to the land of the Amorites, who lived east of the Jordan. They fought against you, but I gave them into your hands. I destroyed them before you, and you took possession of their land. When Balak son of Zippor, king of Moab, prepared to fight against Israel, he sent for Balaam son of Beor to put a curse on you. But I would not listen to Balaam, so he blessed you again and again, and I delivered you from his hand. Then you crossed the Jordan and came to Jericho. The citizens of Jericho fought against you, as did the Amorites, Perizzites, Canaanites, Hittites, Girgashites, Hivites, and Jebusites, but I gave them into your hands. I sent the hornet ahead of you, which drove them out before you, all the 2 Amorite kings, not by your sword and not by your bow. So I gave you a land on which you did not toil, and cities you did not build, and you live in them and eat from vineyards and olive groves that you did not plant. Now fear the Lord and serve him with all faithfulness. Throw away the gods your ancestors worshipped beyond the Euphrates and in Egypt, and serve the Lord. But if serving the Lord seems undesirable to you, then choose for yourselves this day whom you will serve, whether the gods your ancestors served beyond the Euphrates or the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you are living. But as for me and my household, we will serve the Lord." Then the people answered, "Far be it from us to abandon the Lord to serve other gods. It was the Lord our God himself who brought us and our parents up out of Egypt, from that land of slavery, and performed those great signs before our eyes. He protected us on our entire journey and among all the nations through which we traveled. And the Lord drove out before us all the nations, including the Amorites, who lived in the land. We too will serve the Lord, because he is our God." Joshua said to the people, "You are not able to serve the Lord. He is a holy God. He is a jealous God. He will not forgive your rebellion or your sins. If you forsake the Lord and serve foreign gods, he will turn and bring disaster on you and make an end of you after he has been good to you." But the people said to Joshua, "No, we will serve the Lord." Then Joshua said to the people, "You are witnesses against yourselves that you have chosen to serve the Lord." "Yes, we are witnesses," they replied. "Now then," said Joshua, "throw away the foreign gods that are among you and yield your hearts to the Lord, the God of Israel." And the people said to Joshua, "We will serve the Lord our God and obey him." On that day, Joshua made a covenant for the people, and there at Shechem he established decrees and laws for them. And Joshua recorded these things in the book of the law of God. Then he took a large stone and set it up there under the oak next to the sanctuary of the Lord. "See," he said to all the people, "this stone will be a witness against us. It has heard all the words the Lord has said to us. It will be a witness against you if you are untrue to your God." Then Joshua sent the people away, each to their own inheritance. After these things, Joshua son of Nun, the servant of the Lord, died at the age of 110. And they buried him in the land of his inheritance at Timnath-Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, north of Mount Gaash. Israel served the Lord throughout the lifetime of Joshua and of the elders who outlived him and who had experienced all the great things the Lord had done for Israel. And Joseph's bones, which the Israelites had brought up from Egypt, were buried at Shechem in the tract of land that Jacob bought for 100 pieces of silver from the sons of Hamor, the father of Shechem. This became the inheritance of Joseph's descendants. Eleazar, son of Aaron, also died and was buried at Gibeah, which had been allotted to his son Phinehas in the hill country of Ephraim. My dear friend, as the final words of Joshua's journey echo in your heart, I invite you to settle in, to allow the peace of this biblical narrative to fill your being. May the story of faith, leadership, and the fulfilled promise of a home bring a profound sense of tranquility. In this quiet moment, reflect on God's faithfulness in every step, in every challenge overcome. Just as He guided His people through unknown lands and granted them rest, He is also present in your life, offering peace and security. May the serenity of this meditation envelop you, calming your mind and spirit. Allow the divine presence to prepare you for a restful sleep, or to continue your day with a renewed and peaceful heart. If these moments of reflection bring you comfort, consider subscribing to our channel to continue receiving these peaceful narratives. And if there is someone in your heart who needs a special touch of grace, please feel free to share their name in the comments below, so we may include them in our prayers. May the peace of God, which transcends all understanding, guard your heart and your mind in Christ Jesus. Amen.